Jesus came to recover what was taken and restore what was broken. He still has a plan to set people free. The truth is that slavery is still a problem in our world today. It may not look the way we think it does, but it's a harsh reality for so many people. There are more people enslaved today than any other time in history. But the good news, God still has a plan to set those people free, and He's using us to accomplish that mission. My name is Nick Domasic. I'm here in South Africa, working alongside one of our global mission partners, A21. They are boots on the ground, showing us the reality of human trafficking in our world right now. This is a big problem, but we serve a bigger God, and we believe that God is going to use us to continue to partner alongside Him to bring hope and restoration to a broken world.
So can you tell me a little bit more about what we're going to see?
Yeah, so we're going towards a area called Brooklyn, and it's quite a well-known hotspot in the Western Cape, so the province of one of the provinces in South Africa for sex trafficking.
The level of desperation here is so high. The poverty levels here are very high, and that renders people incredibly vulnerable to the point that the value of a human life around me is how much I can make from it, not the value that this friendship adds to me or this family member adds to me, but the money that I can make from you. And so we commonly see trafficking taking place with a trusted friend or family member luring or selling their loved one into trafficking. Human trafficking is a multi-billion-dollar industry perpetuated by greed. You can sell a weapon once. The sale of a drug, you can sell that once and then it's used. But a human being, you can sell over and over and over again. Every person that has been trafficked with one common denominator, and that is vulnerability. We all have vulnerabilities in our lives, things that make us more vulnerable than others, but things that render people vulnerable is I'm desperate for a job. I have a really difficult home life and I don't feel heard or seen. I want to belong. Maybe there's a drug addiction. Maybe I've run away from home. All of these things render us more vulnerable to being trafficked. So we commonly see victims recruited through false relationships, which can happen on social media or in person. We see people trafficked with false job opportunities. So leave school, don't finish school, take this job, it'll pay you more. Or you're just out of school and you're looking for a good job opportunity. Those are the common ways that we see people recruited. And there are many people sitting in situations of vulnerability that are being exploited because of that greed. We understand trafficking as a cycle of vulnerability. So someone is incredibly vulnerable. Trafficking rings will prey and use that vulnerability to lure someone into a situation of exploitation. Now that exploitation could look like sex trafficking, it could look like labor, forced labor, it could look like working in somebody's home, organs, whatever it may be. That's what the exploitation looks like. And if someone does not receive services and assistance, they're likely to live the remainder of their days within exploitation. Or if they do somehow find an exit out of that exploitation, they will be re-victimized.
So why should we care? Human trafficking is the illegal trade of human beings. It's the recruitment, the control, the use of people for their bodies and their labor. It's estimated that there are 49.6 million people enslaved today. Human trafficking generates over $236 billion per year. People all over the world are being sold against their will. But we believe that it is more stoppable than ever as we partner alongside of the creator of the universe to fight this problem. The truth is that these numbers can feel daunting, but I want you to remember, every number has a name. Every name has a face, and every face has a story. Every one of those stories matter to God.
So in 2019, I had gotten physically lost in Johannesburg. I was working for a media house and I got really upset that day. I left my office and I ended up walking around the streets. And while I was walking around, I found myself walking in circles and circles. Eventually, after many, many hours of walking, there was who I thought was a kind person stopping to offer me a lift. Only that was to be my perpetrator. He never took me where I wanted to go. Took me to a brothel where I was forced actually to advertise myself online. And I managed to also plot an escape with a client who tried to kidnap me for the same purpose. And I had to escape him as well. And I found myself on the streets and in danger. And I hitchhiked and I was on the streets. So again, I was out of that situation, but I wasn't out of danger. And after about another month or so, when I came to another level of obedience, I would say, it was a turning point. God sent someone to me, and that same person introduced me to A21. I remember when they took me first, I didn't want to go to the safe house. I was scared, and they allowed me to go to a shelter, but my social worker kept showing up and just sit with me. And she never used to watch the clock. She never used to look at her time. She just used to sit with me, and we would talk, and I didn't want to talk. I want to run away and go smoke and do other things, but she used to just sit with me and sit with me. And I didn't understand that they were walking a journey with me up until a point where I was restored. And it was through that, getting through that hard, raw parts that helped me to heal. I didn't see people as collateral damage or expendable anymore. Every single person added value, and they still add value today. So over time, I've begun to realize that there's a lot of purpose that came out of what I went through, because I'm able to be a voice for the voiceless.
I think the thing that sets A21 apart is that we have a radical hope that we actually can be successful in this fight against trafficking. We're able to look at what's going on in the ground in the country that we're in, and how do we take the services that we have to offer and tailor it to the country that we're in, to see the vulnerable reached, to see those in exploitation assisted, and those who need aftercare services, that they're getting them within their context. We look at ways to increase the likelihood of people caught in exploitation having access to freedom and services. The reality is, less than 2% of victims, once they're exploited, will ever be identified. So we look at how do we increase the likelihood that a victim is going to get access to services. And once they are free from their exploitation, we come alongside them to look at, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where do you want to be? What are the hopes and dreams in your heart? And how can we support you along that journey? So A21's response to that is our Recover programs, which is our hotlines. We want to make it easier for victims to access assistance, for people to report what they're seeing in their communities. And then our frontline professional training. So we train frontliners, educators, healthcare professionals, social workers, airline staff on how to recognize trafficking in their everyday so that they can actually report it, and we can see that number of victims being identified and assisted growing. Every day, every year. We want to beat that stat of 98%. And then lastly, our response to making sure that survivors who have exited out of exploitation, that they are not re-victimized, is our aftercare programs, our restore programs. We run freedom centers in a number of countries around the world. It's drop-in centers where survivors can come and get access to healthcare services, counseling services, support services, and just a generally great life-giving community. When we hear about the stats of human trafficking, 50 million people worldwide enslaved, less than 2% ever going to be identified, it's incredibly overwhelming. And I think that can separate us from the issue. Well, I'm not called to be part of that, or I'm not called to step into that. But the reality is we can't do this alone. It's not just A21 or the other organizations that can fight this, but we all have a role to play. We all have spheres of influence, and it's how do I use my sphere of influence, the resources that are in my hand, the opportunities that I have, to actually equal freedom to somebody else. So maybe for you, it's fundraising to support the work of organizations like A21 who are on the front lines. But maybe it looks like using your social media to raise awareness. Maybe it looks like being a diligent friend, talking to your friends about, what you're learning about how people are recruited and groomed. Maybe it's in your line of work that you're encouraging your bosses to get you all trained on how to identify trafficking. What is your sphere of influence, and how can you have a positive impact within that sphere of influence that will impact the freedom of others?
The reason I can sit here and talk about this is because I want to see other survivors sit where I'm sitting. I want them to get the holistic care that I got. I want them to get the best of everything. I want them to grab every opportunity like I did with 2 hands and know that they never have to go back. There's no more going back. And this is what you said, is you want to let people know that we're in a fight that we can win. We can win. We absolutely can win. But it takes everyone's collaboration and participation to make that happen.
So you may be asking, what do we do now? With all this information that we've heard, how do I actually make a difference? Well, I want you to know that you are a leader of today, not just a leader of tomorrow. You can make that difference right here, right now, because God has given you specific gifts and skills that you can use in the fight against human trafficking. So right now, I want you to remember that God is working alongside us. He is empowering our steps, and He cares more about this problem than we even do. We have the Creator of the universe on our side. But for us practically, I think we can fight human trafficking in 3 ways. We're gonna spread the word, we're gonna pray, and we're gonna give. So when we spread the word, that's half the battle. Sharing our knowledge and knowing more about human trafficking is one way that we can step in and bring more people into the fight. Remembering that we're not doing this alone, but we're doing it shoulder to shoulder with other people. We're gonna share what we know. You might do that with your friends, maybe your family, maybe even post on social media, or bring somebody back to Switch with you so that you can continue to fight for those who are vulnerable. Secondly, we pray. Prayer is our direct line of communication with God, our opportunity to invite Him into the conversation, remembering that He's guiding our steps and that we're not in it alone, but we have the Creator of the universe behind us. And so today, you might pray that God brings you courage or wisdom. You might pray that He guides your next steps in this fight. Or you may pray for those who have been victimized, that God would bring restoration to their life. What are we going to do? We're going to spread the word. We're going to pray. And finally, we're going to give. We say that we will lead the way with a rational generosity because we truly believe it's more blessed to give than it is to receive. So what will you give? Who will you ask to be a part of this fight? Who can you bring along? We don't do this alone, but every single dollar we give makes an impact in this fight. God will use that to bring hope to a broken world. Slavery, it's a real problem in our world today. It's a big problem, but we serve a bigger God. And through our sharing, through our praying, and through our giving, God is going to continue to use us to partner alongside organizations like A21 to fight the problem of human trafficking, to set captives free. And that's the good news. That's always been God's plan, to recover what was taken, to restore what's been broken. And partnering alongside the Creator of the universe, we can set captives free. In the book of Luke, chapter 4, verses 18 and 19, it says, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, for He has anointed me to bring good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim that captives will be released, that the blind will see, and that the oppressed will be set free, and that the time of the Lord's favor has come." Jesus is inviting us to play a part in His good plans for the world. So how can we start? We can do what we can with what we have, where we are. If you want to learn more about how you can make a difference, check out this playlist right here.